Hello everyone, my name is Vlad and today we'll talk about grass and flowers for our dioramas. First, we need to plant the grass. For this I use thick foil and pergament paper. The metal base, in my case thick foil, allows us to create more fluffy grass tufts in large quantities at once. Now I secure the pergament paper with clothespins and then apply PVA glue in the spots where the grass tufts will be. Here is the grass itself. This grass ranged from 3 to 5 mm in size. I use different sizes to make the grass more unique and varied, and, of course, this will give it more realism. Now I want to demonstrate how my homemade flock applicator works. You can see how the grass moves by itself. After planting I remove the excess, and we get this result. Then, using an empty flock applicator without grass, I recharge the planted grass to make it stand up more. If you remember, in previous diorama videos I made the grass always looked not very good. Now the grass stand up nicely and look like real grass tufts. Additionally, I decided to create larger tufts of various shapes. This is my first time doing this, and I want to test how it will look on the diorama. The procedure is the same: apply PVA glue, plant the grass with a flock applicator, shake off the excess and recharge the grass to keep it from looking flattened. And voila! Everything is ready. Here is how our grass looks before it dries. But now I need to leave it overnight to dry properly. The next day I got this result. Yes, the grass tilted a bit on the side, but not significantly, so we can move on to painting. I don't use black primer this time. I start painting the grass in a base color right away. For this I use US Dark Green by Vallejo. I need to paint all the grass in the base color and rotate this piece of paper well so that all the grass is well covered and no unwanted brown or black color show through. Only after this step I can add German camo bright green and go over all the grass again, but not too heavily, as we just need to diversify the base color and make the grass a bit brighter. Now, while my grass is drying, I will add some golden yellow and go over all the grass again, but very carefully and in a small amount. I just need to diversify the grass, not repaint it completely. As you can see, to avoid painting unwanted areas, I decided to apply the bright color only to the tips of the grass. I think this way the grass will look more varied and interesting. Now the grass can be set aside to dry, and we can start painting the larger tufts. I painted one part of the large tuft using the same method as the previous grass. For the second part of the tuft, I decided to paint them in a dry autumn color. To achieve this, I mixed Dectan with color medium rust and added just a little golden yellow, to ensure the color wasn't too intense. This became the base color for my autumn grass. Now I need to let it dry again. While it dried, I will mix a lighter and less saturated paint with a bit of green to give the grass more realism. Now that all the grass has dried, the most important stage begins: storing the grass. I make this preparation to optimize the diorama creation process and improve the display of my mini. And my grass needs to be stored somewhere, otherwise it can be crushed. You might accidentally press something against it, and all your grass will become flat and unattractive. As you can see, I even made a label for my grass. However, I don't want to glue the grass to plastic. I also can't leave it on baking paper, because it won't fit into the case. Of course, it would be wise to cut the baking paper to fit the case first. But there is a catch. I need fluffy tuft. I can place my tuft much closer together than during planting. If I had cut the baking paper smaller and started applying the grass on it, the grass would have lost in fluffiness and would be harder to paint. So it's better to remove all the grass from the baking paper. Using a brush or finger, apply a thin layer of PVA glue on the paper that you have pre-inserted into the case, and then carefully stick the tuft of grass onto this thin layer of PVA. Honestly, I'm very pleased with this work. There are no identical tufts of grass here. For example, once I bought grass from China, and it looked like identical twins, which I didn't like at all. It was too uniform. As you can see, the tufts of grass are conveniently arranged in the case. Thanks to its dimension, I can fit 30 to 40 tufts of grass in scales that are perfectly suited for 1/72 scale, 1/35 scale, or 1/43 scale. The case's height of 1 cm also allows for storing really tall grass. Here is how this type of grass looks in such cases. I think using these cases is very good variants, and in my country they cost not too much, maybe half of $1. But now it's time to move on to a more interesting stage, creating flowers. Essentially, we take the same tuft of grass and using finely threaded kitchen sponge, attach it to the tips of grass to imitate flower buds. I decided to use a higher quality product, so I bought pre-ground sponge from Notch in advance. I also took fishing line, dampened it with superglue, and began forming the buds I needed. I want to imitate Erythrina Christagalli flowers. Now I need to repeat the process and make a few more buds. This is what I got after gluing the buds in the right place. I think they already look great for a diorama set in the jungle. Now I just need to paint the buds in desired color. But first, I'll work on the other flowers. To conveniently attach small, neat buds to the tips of the painted grass, I glued the grass to tweezers. This way I want to drop the grass. Now I carefully apply superglue to the tips of the grass tufts and dip it into the sponge. I sprinkle the sponge in a small pile, so that excess material doesn't stick to the grass tufts. The result is a tuft of grass like this. For my purposes, it's quite sufficient. Now it's time to paint the buds in the desired color. For example, this tuft will imitate white wildflowers, so I paint the sponge white and then add a bit of yellow to diversify the theme. For the 1/72 scale, they look fantastic. For the tall flower buds, I paint them red using the dry brush method, and then add a bit of yellow for variety. I'm not too concerned about completely covering the green, as it will blend harmoniously with the flowers, creating the look of a real plant. And that's all, our plant already. But you might say, hey man, why did we need this? You just showed a standard procedure that been demonstrated hundreds of times before you, and it was first made by famous Luke Towan. Yeah, of course, but with my video I wanted to show why it's important to paint grass and not always necessary to do it on the diorama itself. I sincerely believe that grass straight from the package looked too patent-mindedly bad. Unpainted grass looked too monotonous and uninteresting. Even if you mix several colors, your grass will still look like pieces of different fishing lines stuck in PVA glue. That's what I think about grass from package. Of course, some might disagree with me and say that the grass you can buy, for example, on a K Interactive website or on AliExpress is enough, and you can either use the ready-made tuft from there or plant flock with your flocking device and paint it directly on the diorama. But suppose you don't have time to wait for the grass to dry after planting, or you simply don't have a flocking device and borrowed one from a friend. In that case, you can immediately prepare the requirement number of tufts for a month and create your miniatures or dioramas with pre-prepared grass tufts. Personally, this is the second time I am using these grass tufts, and they perform their role wonderfully. In a future video and diorama I'll use flower again, and believe me, it will be something extraordinary. If this video was helpful, give it a thumb up, make sure to subscribe to the channel and share this video with a friend who still uses grass straight from the package. Don't be lazy, paint the grass and let your dioramas, vignettes or miniatures look amazing. Good luck to everyone and see you soon!